Thanks for joining us for another edition of Weekend Winners, proudly brought to you by 1Equine for the equine athlete. And all the focus is firmly on Albion Park throughout the month of July. We've had the feature racing at Redcliffe over the past couple of weeks. All the attention now at Albion Park, the first night, the first of 4 big nights taking place this weekend, and what a program we've got. So many highlights. Leap to Fame's back in action. He goes around in the Wandai's mate, the DJA, the Queensland Sun. There's countless features there on that program, so there's a lot to look forward to. Early start as well, kicking off at 4:45, 10 races in this edition of Weekend Winners. However, we're going to chat with Angus Garrard and Matty Elkins ahead of their drives this weekend. Our first driver is Angus Garrard, who jumps in the hot seat to go through his book of drives on Saturday night, and he joins us now. Angus, appreciate the time.
My pleasure, Chris.
We'll start with Mullen Ruby. This is your first drive on Saturday night. She goes around in race 2 in this mare's race. Looks a good quality race. How do you rate her chances?
Yeah, I think she raced really well, Chris. I was really pleased with the last start in particular, and I think she's trained on well since then, so I expect a forward showing.
She was a last starter runner-up behind Sky Blue. Initially, though, were you a little disappointed that she was run down in that race?
Oh, not totally, to be honest. I probably didn't think she was sort of ready to lead and cut a mile herself, but it was just sort of the way things panned out. There wasn't really a horse there to hand up to early enough, so I thought she raced good. It was sort of probably a bit quick off the back for us there. My fault, but I was really pleased with the run.
All right, it was a 54.2 mile. They went down the back in 27.4, home in 29.1. And just looking at the form out of this race, it's more than holding up here because horses that finished behind you this night, Loverecious, who ran a great race in the Oaks race last week at Redcliffe, Pandia ran a ripper last week in that mare's feature, and the other one that's also going well out of that race is Aurora Joy. So there's a number of horses to come out of that race that look like they've gone on with it.
Yeah, certainly. I think it looks quite a good form race so far, and hopefully it can prove that way for us on Saturday night.
Do you think you can lead this field from this good draw?
I'm not too sure, to be honest. Madrigal gets out quite good, but we have got really good early speed, so we'll have a little look, and ideally if we could get to the fence, but if not, we'll be sort of close enough without having to do too much, I would have thought.
So what's her best racing pattern? If she got beaten last time out leading up, would you like to say lead out and look for cover and then to be the sniper late?
Yeah, I'm not too sure, to be honest, Chris. She's sort of pretty versatile nowadays, I think. Probably a bit more fitness under her belt. Another run, she probably could lead if we wanted to, but in saying that, she's good off cover as well.
Okay, so how much improvement is there to come out of that last start performance?
I do think her work's been quite a bit better. She's sort of strengthened up a little bit from that run, I think, so I think she can probably go a little quicker and hang on Saturday night.
All right, My Moonlight Dream, would you sort of look at her as the hardest to beat here?
Yeah, it looks that way.
Okay. Well, that's race 2. That's the Mayor's Open there. Let's go across to race number 4. This is the Wandai's mate. I know you're looking forward to his return, but I'm sure you're a little miffed with the barrier draw here with Classy Washington. So he's drawn the outside of the second row. He's fresh up, and all the power runners are drawn the front row. Leap to Fame, Turn It Up, Can't Find a Better Man, District Attorney, and Don Liu. It's not going to be an easy assignment.
Yeah, it probably makes it near on impossible to win, that's for sure, if it wasn't already. But, you know, I think he's sort of well enough in himself that he can earn some money still. Okay,
he was a scratching recently. All okay?
Yeah, all good. He's sort of bounced back really quick, and his work's been super. He went into Albion last week and had a little spin around just on his own, and he worked really good. His heart rate was super, so all systems go.
Okay, so you're just hoping to see a positive performance here because of the barrier draw, and there's obviously going to be a stack of improvement to come for this guy.
Yeah, for sure. As long as he sort of hits the line good on Saturday night, it'll sort of be positive leading into the next few weeks.
Just with his trials in lead up to his return, they've been really good, like really sharp. Has he surprised you with the way he's come back this time in compared to last campaign?
Yeah, he has actually. I sort of expected him to need sort of 3 or 4 trials, to be honest, because he just is normally a horse that takes a few runs to get going again, but he seems to have sort of zipped right up pretty quick this time, and he's sort of ready to rock and roll pretty early on.
So is that a benefit of competing during the Inter-Dominion Series? Has it sort of just brought him to life a little better?
Probably, yeah. It's probably just developed into a sort of a more seasoned racehorse.
Okay. Well, looking forward to seeing him back, but it is a tough assignment there because of the barrier draw. Let's go across to the DJA. Defensive Guy. He was much better last week in the second round heat. Gus is looking to clean sweep this series. Royal Dan's in really good form. How do you rate your chances here with Defensive Guy?
Yeah, look, I think we're definitely a hope, Chris. He's obviously a horse with really good ability, and we know what he can do when he's at 100%. Hopefully he's there on Saturday night and he can give them a run for their money at least.
Is it more open than just Gus and Royal Dan? Do you think there's a few others that should be strongly considered?
Yeah, it's probably sort of always that way in this series a bit. There sort of can look a few standouts and some others can bob up, but it probably looks like those two are a little bit of a step above the others at this stage, but you never know.
Yeah. Well, you go back earlier this year, the Jim McNeil. In the final, did Defensive Guy end up running the favourite over Gus there?
I think he did, yeah.
So they're right there together as far as the ability is concerned.
Yeah, for sure. It's probably just the case that our guy's probably not sort of as seasoned and probably in as good a form as he was then. But, he certainly holds with a lot of ability on his day.
Okay. In that first round heat, was there... Did it surprise you with how he performed that night?
Yeah, it was sort of a bit of a strange one. He's not really a horse to make breaks in running.
Yeah.
So it sort of caught me off guard a bit. I thought we would have been really hard to beat that night. It looked like we were just going to roll to the top pretty soft there with about a mile to run. And I certainly didn't expect him to jump it off when he did. But obviously that was disappointing, but his second round run was good, as you said.
Yeah, and he looked a lot more comfortable last week, so he was well within himself.
Yeah, he was definitely better. Sort of in saying that, he wasn't 100%. I don't think he's sort of probably a better horse than that on his day, but it was certainly a better run.
All right, well, that's going to be a good race, the DJ8. This next race is going to be the race of the night for mine, the Queensland Sun. This is an interesting mix of horses. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. You're driving Regato Di Tilly. He's won his last 4. He's been awesome. How do you think he sort of fits into this race when you sort of start matching him up against your rivals?
Yeah, I think he's right in it. I think he's going as good as anything in the race, to be honest. It's sort of hard to say it's a bad draw, but hard to say it's a good one as well.
You've got Ella Street drawn to your inside, and he's on a real tear at the moment. Back-to-back feature race victories, likely to go forward. Where do you want to be soon after the start with your guy?
Yeah, look, I haven't really got anything sort of set in my head on where I really want to be. Obviously, I think we've got to roll forward if we can, but also don't sort of want to use a lot of petrol early. If we can just sort of lob ourselves handy enough without having to do too much, that'd be ideal.
Okay, we're looking at his trial here last time out. That was only just last week. That's Frankie Ferocious in front, Whisperer's Secret. You're coming down the outside. This was an exceptionally good trial. Were you thrilled with this performance?
Yeah, I was super happy with him. He sort of took ground off those two really nice horses. Still had the plugs in, and he ran through the line as strong as ever.
Yeah, and they went super fast time.
Yeah, that's right. Time was super, especially that last half was really sharp.
So has he trained on since that hit out?
Yeah, he's been really good, Chris.
Okay. So it's one of those ones, you've got this race on Saturday night, winner guaranteed to start on the Rising Sun, and you're keen to start there, and then the following week you got the Hayden. So there's 3 big weeks coming up here with this guy.
Yeah, that's right, and we've sort of kept that in mind with his preparation too. We purposely missed Redcliffe, and we've sort of spaced him out a little, made sure he had that trial 10 days out, and he'll sort of be ready to go 3 weeks in a row if we have to.
Okay, how do you think Ella Street measures up here? A 3-year-old going up against 4-year-olds, as I said, he's in super form, but how does he measure up?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, Chris. It's probably a little hard to line him up against these sort of top-line 4-year-olds, but, everything he's raced so far this time in, he's sort of dealt with pretty well. So I'm sure he'll run a good race on Saturday night, even with a bit of a step up, but it will be interesting to see.
What about For Real Life inside of the second row?
Yeah, it's probably the one draw that Trent didn't really want with him, but we know how good he can be when he's right.
Okay, what about a Rhoda, the last start Redcliffe Cup winner?
Yeah, he's a really nice horse, Chris, as we all know. He's probably flown under the radar a little bit, but you know, he stepped right up last time out. You know, broke the track record here at Redcliffe from the 2600 stand, so you certainly can't count him out.
Did you expect Pete McMullen to drive RD's Flash?
Yeah, I thought he would, to be honest. He's sort of got a good relationship with him, and he's driven him all the way through, so I sort of expected him to stay there.
And you're not prepared to rule out Free Thinker despite the draw?
No, we've seen how good he's been his last few in particular. You know, he's parked out the other night in 51.9 and was sort of strong to the line as well. So I'm sure he'll run a really good race again on Saturday night for Grant.
Did I miss any there? Did I mention my dad said?
Yeah.
It's a good race.
Oh, for sure. It's strong across the board, you know, even Always Smoking's out there, you know. He's sort of beat a few open class horses lately and been running super sectionals. So it's strong across the board, but I think we're right in it.
All right, well, his form suggests he's right in it, chasing 5 straight there with the Queensland Sun. Which drive are you most looking forward to?
I think Ragazzo D'Attilio. I do think he can run a really good race there.
All right. Race 8, number 6, Ragazzo D'Attilio. As always, Angus, really appreciate the time and super best of luck there on the weekend.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Matty Elkins jumps in the hot seat to go through his drives on Saturday night, and he's with us now. Matty, appreciate the time.
Pleasure as always, Chris.
Congo Line, last start winner. He's your first drive. He goes around in the opening race here on Saturday night. He was awesome last time out. How thrilled were you with him last time out?
Yeah, massive thrill, you know. It's been a good story, you know, something to keep the family spirit, owner's spirits high through some rough times, both with Dad and the owner's family, so it's been great for everyone.
PB performance this night, 51.5. So many things to talk about with this race victory as well with Congo Line. Firstly, the fact that you were able to roll the gate with him. You weren't chasing him off the arm, but he was able to get into a good spot early. Normally, he's one that's just been able to go straight back at the start. He hasn't showed that sort of speed, so that's a big plus.
Yeah, it's something he sort of hasn't done very often, is sort of get forward and be handy from those tricky gates. You know, it's probably added a bow to his racing style now.
Well, certainly, there's no doubt about that. And as you step up in class, that's going to be beneficial.
Yeah, definitely, you know. I think we're drawn 4 and probably looked ugly for him the way he races, but he made full use of it. And instead of being last, he was 1-1, and that was the difference.
The form out of that race looks really good. Western Arterra, he's won since. Elder Magician is your drive later in the Queensland Sun. Love Bite's going well. Collector Dime's going really well. So the form is sensational. Cheerleader was in that race, and she came out and won that mares feature last week.
Yeah, every way you look at it, you know. And to go 51 with the first half, and to be the first time he has sort of poked forward out the gate in those sort of sectionals, you know, it's probably adds more credit to his run as well, something that he's not accustomed to.
So do you have to sort of adopt similar tactics again here from this draw? Or is that potentially a little tricky gate 3?
Yeah, I'd say once upon a time it would have been, you know, but we're full of confidence at the moment, and one spot was a tricky draw. Hopefully it's not anymore and we can march forward. You know, if it was a mile, I'd probably be pretty aggressive trying to get to the marker pegs, but, you know, 2100, we just want to get forward and be handy again.
Will that make any difference to him, the distance, going from a mile up to 2100?
Generally speaking, I always found he was better at the 2100, but, you know, his mile games have really stepped up, and I don't think he can be any better than he is at the mile at the moment.
There's no standout in this race. There's a number of horses competing well. Saint Varan comes back after running second in the Redcliffe Cup, but there's no standout. No,
it's a very even field, and, you know, probably doesn't look like a standout leader or chair horse, and that probably makes the race even more interesting.
How far can he go, Congo Line? Off that last start performance, he looks like he's destined for bigger and better, so how far can he go?
Yeah, it's hard to say, you know, he's a 7-year-old, but, you know, we've always said all the way along, the faster they go, the better he goes. So sometimes in slower, lesser company races, he's looked ordinary off slow tempos, but, you know, you get in the better class, they tend to go harder all the way, and he thrives off that.
Okay, that's race 1. Let's go to race 5, the Stella Square. This is the all-important lead-up to the Great Square, scheduled for next week. Head him up, as we know, he's already invited and ready to go for the Great Square, but he starts in Saturday night's feature, and he lands the inside gate. What was the initial reaction when that field was released, and you've got barrier 1?
Yeah, wrapped.
Yeah. Well, you've got options now, don't you?
Yeah, for sure, you know. He sort of drives himself to that first turn quite often, but, you know, we had barrier 1 in a trial there a while ago, and he was a completely different horse and a lot more casual and relaxed, so hopefully he turns up on Saturday as well.
Okay, so he's only a 3-year-old. This is a 3- and 4-year-old event, so he was always going to draw well, but with Head 'em Up, in what I've seen so far, he's not an easy horse to drive. In particular, scoring up in that first 200, 300 metres. And am I right in saying that?
Yeah, no, he's got a few tricks up his sleeve. You know, you've sort of got to go with him or things can turn pear-shaped pretty quick. And scoring up, it's sort of heart-in-the-mouth stuff all the way until just before the release. But, you know, he has been a lot better, and I think last start we just crossed that out. You know, there was a false start, and he's already a hot-headed horse, a 3-year-old trotter. You know, it's a bad mix when you throw in a false start. So I'm just completely going to write it off and go back to where we were the week before. So I think we'll be right this week.
And when you go back to that performance 2 runs ago, he handled AJ Volstead, Agent Black, 2 really good horses in their own right, with real ease there. So he's the real deal, this guy, and he speed's his best asset.
Yeah, for sure. You know, he sort of led and won pretty comfortably most of his starts at Albion, but off that trial I give him there before he went to the New South Wales Derby, I'm actually pretty keen to drive him on a helmet and see how he can finish off.
Okay, so we've got Rockin' With Attitude, who came, saw and conquered here last year, and you've got this Kiwi Bet and Win. David Miles has outlined he's keen to lead here with Rockin' With Attitude. So that being said, is this the perfect foil for you? Just lead us back?
Yeah, I think so. You know, the horse is probably going to tell me a big thing of it. You know, I'm pretty confident he's got the speed to hold them, and we can dictate our terms. But I'll be quite comfortable if he runs the gate and sort of comes back to me around the turn. And you know, he can sort of go pretty strong to the mile, but then he should relax, and then we can wave Rockin' With Attitude by.
Okay. And just with that, she's a high-quality mare, outstanding in so many ways, and this Bet and Win's building a very impressive record. He's chasing, 5 in a row here on the weekend. But if you're camped behind them and the speed's genuine, he can be a threat?
Yeah, for sure. You know, and that probably, it's a tricky sort of way to look at it, but, you know, if we hand over to one, well, then that leaves the other one parked, and no one's sitting 1-1 either. So, you know, it sort of looks in our favour that way, and I'm sure he sort of can rattle off a good last quarter, as we've seen in that trial.
So if we go back to that other trial where he beat Majestic Lavros, an open class horse who qualified for the Inter Dominion, as you well know, because you drove him in that grand final, he's capable.
Yeah, for sure. You know, in front he feels like a monster, and just sort of probably knocks off a little bit before the line. He only does what he has to, I believe, and that day he sat on a helmet and just pulled out. I haven't felt a trotter like that before, you know. Didn't ask an effort of him, and to go past a horse like of that calibre and that type of quarter suggests he's sort of got a real quick finish in him.
All right. And just going back to him in the early part of the score up in that first 200 metres, I've noticed when he comes onto the track, he's ready to get out there and get amongst his work pretty quickly. He can be a real handful.
Yeah, that first lap of the prelim, he rolls it along at a pretty good clip, you know, but we've sort of got him at the moment. He'll go one keen lap and a lot kinder the next lap. So I think that's what brought him undone at Menangles. He was the same, but it's a lot bigger first lap down there.
Yeah, good point. Good point. The Queensland Sun, you've picked up the drive here on Elder Magician. This is the first time you've driven this guy. This is a good pickup. Yeah,
first time driving him, you know, but raced him a lot in recent times, and he's sort of been racing outstanding and sort of got better and better each week, I think.
This race looks really competitive. There's not many that you can punch holes in here, and if he has any sort of luck, he can play a role in the finish.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'd say probably 10 or 11 of the 12 of them could nearly win that with the right trip. It's a tremendous race, and the draw probably throws it up even more even, you know. Illustrate probably does have the draw advantage and is flying at the moment, but, you know, you can't rule out any of those.
Is he the main one, in your opinion, that you've got to beat Ella Street? He's only a 3-year-old up against the 4-year-old, so completely different kettle of fish here. But he's on a tear, this guy. He's chasing, 5, 6 in a row, and he's gone back-to-back with feature race wins.
Yeah, you know, you can't fault anything he's done, and sort of looks like he's got better and better each week, and he's probably added to his game that he's relaxing a lot more in races, and that sort of made him more dangerous now. Before he was sort of a bit revvy and rolled along at a good clip, but now he's coming back to him and rating himself. He looks the real deal, and I believe he probably looks the leader and hardest to beat.
Okay, just looking at that replay of Congo line, gee, he hit the line, Elder Magician. He was standing you up a tidy start, and he's made up a lot of ground.
Yeah, no, I was aware of that. He made up good ground in a 51 mile from back in the field. You know, not many do that. So
you're just hoping for a genuine tempo here?
Yeah, you know, it probably looks to be genuine, and there's going to be moves. You know, people have got to throw it at the stumps this week, I guess, and leave nothing in the tank if they're on the borderline and really want to get a spot for next week. So it could be interesting. But yeah, we probably just want tempo and something to take us into it late.
All right, which drive are you most looking forward to?
We'll go head him up. You know,
Head 'em up.
pretty keen to see where he's at, and you know, Congo's going well, but the other two are feature races there, so pretty keen for all of them, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot to look forward to, but we'll circle race 5, number 1. Matty, as always, appreciate the time. Best of luck on Saturday night.
Thank you.
As always, a big thanks to our 2 drivers, Angus Garrard and Matty Elkins. Hopefully, the boys can get some success there on Saturday night. As I said, 10 races starting officially at 4:49. Looking for a good gamble on this program, I think you've got to be a little patient. A lot of these races are loaded with good winning hopes, but I think we can focus on race 9. I'm really keen on the chances of number 6, Rock and Roll Hammer. He was beaten first up, far from disappointing. I think he'll strip a lot fitter, and this looks really suitable this race. So marking him as the best bet. Race 9, number 6, Rock and Roll Hammer. As I said, you've got to be a little patient there at the back end of that meeting. But it's a star-studded program, and this is just a little entree to what's to come over the coming weeks here at Albion Park. The Racing Queensland Constellations in full flight now. All the focus at Albion Park. We'll see you trackside this Saturday night.